Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Shiloh with D20 Academy, and today I'm going to be making a D&D 5th edition race tier list. So I found this tier maker thing right here. It's on tiermaker.com, and someone made this tier list so I can rank D&D 5th edition races. Now, this is not every single race like ever made for 5th edition. It's cutting out like the Ravnica ones. But it does have the ones from Eberron. Looks like we got Warforged and Calith and, that one. And we have, like, Shifters and a lot of, like, Unearthed Arcana stuff as well. And also, they've split a lot of the races into their sub-races as well. So we got a lot to go through here. And I might skip over some or whatever if I don't really have anything relevant to say. Now, when we're talking about ranking here, and I hope to do more of these in the future, maybe with classes or books or whatever it is as well, I want to rank these races on a couple different kind of aspects. So one is obviously like mechanical strength, like the ability scores that it boosts and the features that it gives. Obviously, some races are stronger than others in those regards. Also, like the narrative strength, how much lore and stuff about that race there is that can provide lots of content for multiple different kinds of player characters that can be made from that race that all have very like compelling, narrative hooks basically. So we're also going to be looking at that. And yeah, flavor, spice, cool stuff as well. And then also just my opinion and my experience as well. So you're probably going to disagree with a lot of these. I know there's one in particular that a lot of people are going to disagree with. But here we go. So we got S, A, B, C, D, F tiers here. And let's just go at it. Okay, starting off with Earth Genasi. Okay, so starting off with Earth Genasi. So this, the Genasi, they are, they're a really interesting race. They're really cool. I really love the elemental stuff. And of course, they're split into the 4 sub-races based on the 4 elements, So we got Earth Nation Genasi here. Genasi? I'm going to stick with Genasi. That's cool. Genasi. Now, the only Genasi that I've ever, been in a campaign with one I was DMing, and a player made an Earth Genasi fighter, I believe. So actually, the only Genasi I actually have experience with in-game is Earth Genasi. They're really cool. Genasi as a whole, Constitution, modifier bonus, great. All around, everybody likes Constitution, so that's why I like Genasi. And then I love how it splits into 4 different sub-races that each give the +1 to a different ability score that kind of fits within that element. So the Earth Genasi, they get Strength. They get the ability to cast Paths Without Trace, which is a little weird. The feature itself is called Meld into Stone, so I assume it's like they're kind of walking through the rocks and stuff to kind of hide. But Paths Without Trace actually affects not just you, but actually like the whole party. And so I don't really know how the Earth Genasi is doing that. So because of that not really making total sense to me, I'm going to dock it down a few points. Mechanically, not that strong. I mean, strength and Constitution bonuses obviously are great. There's like so many races with that. I've complained about this before in the podcast, but so many races have strength and Constitution modifiers. I guess just a class. You know what? The elemental theme is strong. Mechanically, like, fine. The melt into stone, weird confusion thing I don't really like. So we're gonna drop him in C. We're gonna do C. I have a feeling that we're gonna get some better ones. Okay, Forest Gnomes. I really like gnomes. However, the big discrepancy of gnomes is the difference between gnomes and halflings, and like all new D&D players don't really understand how that works, and everyone gets that confused. Forest gnomes are cool, but they're a lot like halflings. Rock gnomes and like their tinkering abilities are more like classic gnomes. They feel more different than halflings, whereas forest gnomes, in my opinion, are kind of like little forest hobbits, and kind of like Lightfoot halflings, honestly. Plus, they get the bonus to Dex. So, I don't know, narratively, the difference between them and halflings is They get the intelligence. What really uses intelligence and dexterity? Nothing. Yeah, I'm gonna drop him in. I'm gonna drop him in D. I don't think they're mechanically strong, and I don't think the theme is really there, unless you're trying to be like a little like fairy in the forest, I guess. Mountain Dwarf is really strong because it has 2+2 bonuses to ability scores, which is really good, and its strength and con, which, like I said, is really good for like barbarians and fighters. They make really good that. Just because of the mechanical strength, I'm gonna put them in A tier because they're just really good. Also, dwarves have a super compelling, like, narrative strength. I feel like they're very strong narratively in regards to the dwarven lore and, like, the personalities and their culture, I think is really deep and rich. Definitely in, is it Volo's Guide or Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes? I don't know which book. I think it's Volo's Guide. They really dive deep into dwarves and their lore and culture and stuff, and, like, right after I read that chapter, I'm like, I'm gonna make a dwarf because the dwarves are the best. Dwarves, really strong narrative strength. Mountain dwarves, really strong because of the 2+2 ability score improvements. Hill dwarf, super strong for any like wisdom spellcasters, so clerics and druids, because of the wisdom bonus and the con bonus. It's exactly what those classes are looking for. Once again, the narrative strength is there. However, hill dwarves are a little more confusing and vague to me. Mountain dwarves, they live in like mountain halls and in caverns and like they're mining and stuff. Hill dwarves, I'm still not really sure exactly where they live and stuff, and it's a little weaker there. But I'm still gonna pop them into A tier because they're a classic cleric or like druid pick. They're just really good. Okay, bugbears. I love bugbears. I think they're very strong because of their strength and dex bonuses. If you are a strength-based class, you choose them for the strength. But then the dex bonus gives you, well, dexterity is obviously the best ability score, so then you're also getting bonuses to initiative and armor class and things like that. So just that dex bonus is really good. The fact that their reach with melee weapons increases by 5 feet for every single weapon that they use is really, really good. Definitely if you're the people who use like battle maps and use that kind of tactical battlefield. Culture, like narrative-wise, the bugbears are not very strong in my opinion. I'm gonna toss them into B tier just because I think mechanically they're pretty strong. Otherwise, they're not that interesting, at least to me. Okay, Scourge, Aasimar. Okay, Aasimar as a whole. Let's just talk about Aasimar, if that's even how you pronounce it. Nobody knows how to pronounce it. Aasimar. Scourge is the most boring, in my opinion. I don't really like Aasimars in general. What do they get? Do they get like the Constitution bonus plus the Charisma bonus from the base race? Could make them good sorcerers, bards maybe. Don't think they're that mechanically strong. Their like transformation ability that all the different Aasimar subclasses get is probably the worst. So I'm gonna drop them in. D tier. I don't think they're very strong. I don't really like them. High elves. Nobody picks a high elf. Have you ever known a person who played a high elf? No, you haven't, because nobody picks them. Here's the thing. If you're like playing a wizard, you're like gonna take a gnome. And if gnome's not your style and you're more emo, then you're gonna take a tiefling because tieflings are cool. We'll get to them. I feel like nobody plays high elves. Everyone thinks they're like really snobby and stuff. No one really uses dex and intelligence, really. So they're really not that good. Maybe arcane tricksters, but I don't know. I feel like nobody really plays a high elf. I think they're pretty interesting. They're like the elves in Lord of the Rings to me. You know, like Elrond and Galadriel, like really smart people. They're kind of snobby, I guess. Narrative strength is there. Mechanical strength, I'll drop him in C. Lizard folk. I love lizard folk. While their culture I think is really interesting, I love that they come from a swamp. I think that's a really interesting biome. I love the features that they get. That natural armor, their bite, and the fact that a feature where they can like build weapons and shields and stuff out of like the bones and carcasses of creatures that you slay is super, super strong. I love that. Not strong like mechanically per se, but really strong like flavor-wise. It's so rich in flavor, and I really, really like that. I'm gonna drop him in. I'm gonna drop him in B because mechanically they're not the best, but I really like their flavor. Okay, now we're getting on to orcs. Orcs are classic. They're the classic, like, enemy humanoid, you know? They're really basic. Definitely in D&D, they're super basic. They're balanced mechanically. I'm just going to drop them in C because they're fine. They're just fine. Kobolds. I'm not a fan of kobolds. I know kobolds are like classic D&D monsters. A lot of people love them. I'm not a fan of them. I don't think they're strong mechanically. Pack Tactics is really good. D tier. Sunlight sensitivity. Tieflings. Everybody loves tieflings, okay? And, like, if you're the person who plays, like, the edgy characters, then you've played a tiefling before. Obviously, their biggest strength comes in their look. And, like, their lore and stuff. And, like, how you can come up with, like, are they half demon or whatever their demonic ancestry was. And how they have to, I think it's really strong narratively of, like, how they have to deal in society. Because people don't trust them because they look like Satan. You know, stuff like that. Mechanically, charisma, intelligence. Nah, not that good. But it's a tiefling. So you go into A tier. Because you're a tiefling. Protector Aasimar. My favorite Aasimar. I think flight is obviously really powerful. Plus, I think they're wisdom, right? Wisdom and constitution. So that's really good. They're just really good. B tier. Because I don't like Aasimars that much in general. Drow. Do I really have to explain this? Do I have to explain this decision to you guys? Do they just need justification, or can I just gonna leave that one? Just gonna leave that one right there. You guys can kind of, you know why. You know why I left that one there. What do we got here? Air Genasi. No. Humans. Okay, so here's the thing. You either really like humans or you don't like humans at all. Those are the two arguments. Either humans are really boring and you're playing a fantasy game and you can build any kind of character you want. Why the heck would you play a human? And on the other hand, this is the camp I'm in. Humans are by far the most interesting, narratively rich characters or races ever. Humans are, we understand humans the most because, you know, we're humans. All the other ones are made up. They don't have as much information and lore about them as, you know, humanity. Humans can be anything. They can range from anything. It's just they're just so, they can be anything. And humans are so interesting. And I just think they're really compelling and cool. And +1 to all ability scores is really good. So I'm going to drop them in A tier. Dragonborns. Points for looking awesome. Points for being dragons. Mechanically, so bad. I would put them in D, but I'm gonna bump them up to C because of their looks and just because they're the classic paladin pick. Half-elf, S tier. Sorry, they're like one of the best races of all time. Not only are they really strong mechanically, you can just build a whole character arc around how they're torn because they're biracial of elves and humans, and neither side really accepts them. And they're like kind of wanderers, and they're trying to find their identity. Such a compelling thing for a character arc. So obviously S tier. Stout halfling. I'm running out of time here, so I'm just gonna lump all halflings into the stout halfling one. Halflings are amazing. They're one of my favorite races. Love the charisma bonus. I like hobbits, which they're based from. They're good. They're strong. They're good rogues and bards and stuff like that. I'm gonna drop them in A tier, and they can hide. Goliaths. Goliaths are really strong. Once you find out the Goliath exists, you're like, Goliath barbarian. You know? Nah, B tier. They're not that strong, narratively, to me. Firbolgs. Firbolgs. What are they? You know? I like the way they look. I like that they can be classic druids or clerics or whatever. I'm gonna put them in C tier. I don't like them very much. Dang, whatever. Okay, what else? A tier. Everyone plays a Wood Elf. When you find out D&D exists, you play a Wood Elf Ranger. That's what you have to do. Those are the rules, so. Okay, Genasis. I'm skipping the rest of the Genasis, whatever, doesn't matter. I think Genasis in general are probably like a C tier. What do we have? We have goblins. Goblins are really cute. They're goblins. I mean, they're really fun, I think. They're really cool. Well, there's not a lot of, like, D&D lore for them. I feel like you can pull from, like, other things that you like Goblin Djinn, like the World of Warcraft world or, like, whatever it is. And so I'm gonna put them in B tier. I think they're fun. I don't think they're that strong. Half-orcs. Half-orcs have the same kind of compelling character arc as half-elves because they're biracial, but they're like monstrous instead, so they also have to deal with kind of what the tieflings have to deal with people not trusting them because orcs are bad. I think it's really compelling. I think they're really badass. A tier. Kenku. This is the one that's gonna piss everybody off. I'm gonna put Kenku in F tier. Now, a lot of you would put Kenku in S tier because you love Kenkus, and I know so many people, like, I've seen, like, OC stuff of people, you know, drawing their characters or, like, their D&D party, and there's, like, always a Kenku in there because someone loves Kenkus and they want to play a cute little bird with a little rogue bird. Listen, guys. How do you play a Kenku? You can only repeat things that you've heard before. So unless you house rule something, like strictly playing a Kenku as it works, you have to, you know, write down every single thing that you hear that you think you're going to repeat and the voice that it's said in. And then you have to choose from those dialogue options any single time you want to speak. It's a chore. Okay. Tabaxis. They're cool. They can climb. But they're furries. You know? So. Okay. What else do you have? Rock Gnome. Rock Gnome is A tier. Tinkering little dudes. It's so fun. Why would you not do that? Okay, we have Tritons. I had a Triton in my party when I was DMing. Really cool. I love the +1 bonus to 3 different ability scores. I think that's really cool. So I think we're just gonna we're gonna drop them in B. I think they're strong mechanically. They can be. The water theme's really strong. It's like if you want to play a mermaid, but like, you know, be able to walk on land. Okay, Variant Human. S tier. Don't think I have to explain that. Fallen Aasimar. F tier. I don't like Aasimars that much, and Fallen Aasimar is just really edgy, and not cool edgy like Tieflings. Just Hot Topic edgy. So, Hobgoblins are really cool. They're like orcs, but sophisticated and like warlords and like tactical battlefield dudes. I don't know really how strong they are, but I'm gonna drop them in C tier. Yuan-Ti are like my favorite monsters, maybe. No, not probably, but one of my favorite D&D monsters. I really like them. I love the concept of being like a snake person who like poisons people and stuff and being really tricksy and manipulative. And I'm going to put them in B tier because of the narrative strength. I think they're really cool. Alright, skipping over to Ugar, we're going to go to Aarakocra. Let me just kind of drop that up there. You can fly at first level. So, okay, we're going to skip some of these other ones here. Tortle. First of all, I love this person put Oogway. Everything else is like cool D&D art, but he chose Oogway. I love it. Tortles are so strong. I mean, mechanically they're great. It's a turtle. Like, it's a turtle person. It's Oogway, right? Like, why would you not want to play that? They're so cool. They're just really cool. I love them. Everyone loves them. A tier. Okay, the Gith. I've never been a big fan of the Gith. I think their lore and stuff is actually really interesting and cool, and you could build really cool characters out of them. Actually, one of my biggest things, which is just subjective, I don't really like their visual design. I don't like the way they look. I like how there's kind of like a studious one and then like a warrior one, and they kind of have this conflict or whatever. Just general Gith, I'm not going to rank both of them. I'll just take the Gith Thrive for just general Gith. I'll put them in C. I don't think they're that strong. I think they're kind of blah. Okay, we're going to skip over the Shifter, because that would take too long to talk about in the Kalashar. Hey, because nobody, what is that called? I don't even know what it's called, Kalashahar or something. Warforged, they're really strong. I'm going to put them in A tier. It's really cool to, like, play a robot. No, I'm putting them in S tier. You know why? Here's why. Because they are strong mechanically, and the narrative, like, strength of, like the character arc of, like, being, you know, like, not having, like, a soul, really, and, like, being a droid. Like, same in, like, Star Wars. Like, what's so interesting about droid characters to me is, like, their humanity, you know, if you know what I'm saying, and, like, do they have a soul, and, like, do they have their own, like, opinion, and, like, I think that's just really cool and interesting. I think it's really strong, and it really makes for an interesting character. Sorry, I'm going to go back to Shifters. Shifters are really cool, but I wish they could turn into werewolves, so I'm going to put them in B tier. Changelings, A tier. Changelings are, like, so cool. So many interesting things you can do with them. Just the gateway into being creative, you know, solving problems creatively with changelings is really, really strong to me. And I really like them. That's why Disguise Self is one of my favorite spells, because it's not that powerful, but it opens up a gateway into a million different ways that you can solve problems in your game, and I think it's really cool. Okay, you guys, that was it. That was my D&D Erased tier list. Maybe we'll revisit this at a later date when maybe my opinions have changed and you guys have yelled at me enough about my wrong decisions and putting Kenku in F tier, and maybe I'll just get canceled, so maybe you'll never see another one anyway. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening. You can follow us on Instagram at D20_Academy. We got really cool stuff going on, and if you want updates on newer videos and stuff like that, check it out there. You can also get into our Discord by, like, commenting on this video or anything. And Discord, we have a little community. We talk about cool stuff. If you have any questions or concerns or whatever, like, comment down below. Whatever platform you're watching this on, I assume it's YouTube, subscribe. You guys, go ahead and subscribe, and you can get updated for all our cool videos about D&D and storytelling and all that kind of good jazz stuff. And hey, I've been talking about D&D races. This typically applies to player characters, but you know, when you build a character, it's only as cool as the character sheet and your concept until you bring it to the table. But you can't bring it to the table until there's a campaign. You can't have a campaign until you have a GM. If you are a GM or you're interested in being a GM and you want to build a campaign, I have exactly what you need. If you go to D20Academy.com, you gain access to a free 20+ minute video where I take you through the whole process of building a campaign. Well, you know, like the basics of it. And then you'll also be able to, maybe if you want to, opt into my online course, which in detail goes into every single part of building a campaign. It was a lot of fun to make. It's a lot of fun to do. So go ahead and check that out if you want to. Thank you so much for watching again, and I will see you next time.